Hello and welcome back to the Sports Brief Podcast. Colton Hall here, and with a new segment where we kind of just catch up with some of the local athletes that are committing to some of the local colleges here. Just want to be able to give them a shout out, give them some credit, and the newest member of the podcast and helper out, if you will, Owen Cass, Sturgis senior stud baseball player. Owen, you've committed to Dakota State University. Really happy to have you on, and really excited. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's first start by talking about why Dakota State? That's my first question.
So I went through kind of the football recruiting in the fall, and I went there on a visit, and I liked the campus and everything. But I wasn't quite sold on football. And then I messaged the baseball coaches, and they said I'd have a spot on the team. So it was kind of, I liked the campus, but I didn't really like football. So now that I get to play baseball and I still like the campus, it's just the best of both worlds.
Computer science. So they have probably, I mean, it's everybody's probably heard kind of about their cybersecurity programs and all that. So what about that side of things? I feel like that had to be pretty interesting. That's a really interesting field to really go into.
Yeah, it's kind of something I've always wanted to go into. I mean, I really enjoy math, so anything math based, I've really liked throughout my schooling. So I kind of just want to continue that, and they're obviously one of the better programs in the nation for cybersecurity and computer science and all that stuff. So yeah.
Absolutely. Another thing, so I caught the game the other night against Stevens, and you really caught my eye. Those last couple of games I've been covering for Sturgis, and it was really funny. So I don't know if you'll remember this play. I got to ask this question because I was up there with Gary Matthews and Adam Miller and all that, who were up there with me talking about the play. You had just hit I want to say it was an RBI double or triple. I can't quite remember what it was. Or no, RBI single. You're coming around the base, and it's frowned upon, I know, in high school baseball to just run over catchers. But you had already at that time you'd built a 3-0 lead. Is there any little bit of thought in your mind in a play like that to just say, you know what, I know it's frowned upon, but I got to go make a play?
I don't really like the whole like run over the catcher thing. I'd rather try to get around them because in all the collisions I've seen, the catcher usually holds on to the ball anyways, so it's not really worth it. So that's just what I was trying to do, is just try to get around him. I was kind of tired at the time, so.
No, yeah, that makes sense. No, I was just taking a look at it. I got to ask him about that because that was just something we were all kind of talking about up in the booth, and I was telling Terry Anderson them, and I know it's frowned upon, but I just had to ask the question. But and then so talk to me a little bit about more Dakota State. You talked a little bit. You kind of alluded to the fact of like, hey, baseball really seemed to be it. I didn't really like the football side of things. Was there maybe a consideration to do both?
Early on, I did consider doing both, but with the time commitment of during the summer football practices, and then I really wouldn't be able to give my all towards one or the other, and I don't really like that idea. Like, I want to be all in on something. I don't really want to be half and half in both.
Absolutely. Well, and another thing too is I feel like you've got to obviously got to make the best decision for you and everything moving forward. And honestly, we got to live in the now. And speaking of the now, Sturgis right now looking pretty good. I believe on a 5-game win streak, if I'm not mistaken. Things are looking pretty good for you guys. What for you, just finishing out this club season and the Legion season, for you, really, what's the main goal here to really finish this thing out?
I got a lot of friends on the team, and most of them aren't going to be playing baseball next year, so I'm really just going to try to have as much fun with them while I can, and yeah, just pretty much try to have as much fun as I can, win as many games as we can.
A big thing about this podcast, specifically this segment, I really wanted to be about the school, where you come from. Obviously people always have people to thank, and schools, traditions, sports, programs, everything to thank. How do you think your experience at Sturgis really shaped you for going on to Dakota State and really beyond?
Well, baseball wise, we've had a few coaches in my 4 or 5 years of high school baseball. One of my favorite coaches was Don Bradford. He was my coach for 3 years. And he was just a really good coach for me. I mean, he really helped me out with like the mentality side of baseball and working harder towards your goals. And, every time we won a big game, he'd come to practice the next day and he'd say, nobody cares, work harder. So that was kind of a big thing for me. It was just like not getting complacent with where I've been and just working harder to get where I want to be.
I love it.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
that was a big thing for me.
Love it. What about Dakota State? Really think like what really attracts you about Dakota State? Like I know we kind of touched on it, like kind of what made you choose them overall, but being around the campus and all that. But what do you really enjoy? What do you think you're going to enjoy most about potentially or going to Dakota State? Excuse me.
Um, so it's the location of it is just about perfect. It's like close enough to be still at home, but far enough away to be not at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, and then the opportunity to play baseball. I mean, Dakota State's one of the best NAIA teams in the nation right now. It's exciting to be on a team that's going to win a whole bunch of games, and it's going to be fun to be a part of that culture and really like take that next step of winning games. Yeah.
absolutely. So what are the Trojans getting? I feel like that's kind of probably a little bit of a rounded question, but what are the Trojans getting in Owen Cass? Obviously, the fans know you, kind of a power hitter guy, a tone setter. But what do you believe the Trojans are getting this year?
I really think of myself as a utility player who's going to work hard to, be the best of where the team needs me. I can pitch, I can field, I can hit wherever. I've played all 9 positions on the field, so wherever they need me, I'll be able to fit right in.
So, talk to me a little bit about the school side of things, like because there's a lot of freedom in college. Like I can tell you just from personal experience, I know a lot of people can. But are you kind of excited for the idea of like having a little bit more of that freedom and kind of balancing out classes, or is it just kind of one of those things where you get there when you get there?
Well, the last couple of years I've been taking dual credits through the high school. So I've had like open blocks kind of where I didn't have to be at school. So I've kind of already experienced a little bit of that, but I'm kind of excited to move towards like fully that to where I can kind of decide what I do with my time.
So, computer science, I know we kind of touched on it. It's been something that you've really been wanting to do for a while. What specific field are you looking to kind of go into?
I really don't know for right now. I mean, I don't really know much about it. My plan is just to go and learn as much as I can and see where that takes me.
Absolutely. Is there anything that maybe a piece of advice, for either viewers watching or younger viewers watching that you maybe might have for a younger athlete or those watching again, once again, that really helped you get to where you are?
One thing that's helped me get to where I am and that I don't think anybody should take for granted is extra time at the end of practice or at the beginning of practice. Just stay like 5, 10 minutes and hit a few balls in the cage or take a few ground balls. If you do that every practice, it'll really add up and it'll really help you throughout or in the long run.
Absolutely. Anything else you'd like to mention about the rest of the season, kind of moving forward, or thank yous, or anything else like you'd like to put out there?
Um, Not really, I guess. I mean, I'll thank my family, I guess, my mom, dad, and sister. They've been really big supporters of me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Owen. I really appreciate you for stopping by. And obviously, I'll probably watch you throughout the rest of this baseball season and all that. And good luck at Dakota State. And thanks for coming on the show.
Yep, thanks for having me.